Hi class, welcome to week 2 of Justice Principles of Justice. This week we're doing Justice Research Methodologies, and for my introduction to this week, I'm just going to go over briefly some of the things that I want you to really pay attention to in the 4 readings that you have this week so that you can prioritize what you're spending most of your energy really trying to take in, since the readings are a little bit longer. So the first reading that you have is The Black Intellectual Tradition and the Myth of Objectivity by Brandon Bird. This is a shorter piece, but it's really important because this connects to the readings that you did last week on positionality and how positionality frames and constructs your epistemology. So this article focuses on the Black intellectual tradition in the United States and the reality that objectivity is not entirely possible because, as we've already discussed, who you are and where you come from influences what you see, what you don't see, and how you choose to frame the world around you. The second reading, which is in a book called Integrative Process, is about this. It's kind of bringing together these ideas by a scholar named Follett into understanding how she looks at research and how she takes in research questions and how she formulates answers to those research questions. It's a really good, pretty quick read. It's only 13 pages. And I want you to specifically focus on starting on page 75, the second paragraph where she talks about the best preparation for integration and the process of interpenetration. And then also the pragmatist method that starts on page 77. So those are the 2 sections that you should be focusing on. Your next reading is Suspending Damage, A Letter to Communities. And that's really important for me because as you know this week that you're going to be making your research proposal post in your discussion boards. And when you think about what strikes your interest most in the justice fields, and that can be really varied. I've had students last semester who wrote on Chance the Rapper and his involvement in his community. I had students who wrote about lack of Indigenous representation at Barrett College at ASU. I had a student who wrote about the immigration crisis and refugee crisis in Europe. I had a student who wrote about the age of drug users in the United States. So this can be really varied based off of where your personal interests lie. But when you're constructing what you're going to be researching, this reading is super important because you need to understand that if you're going to be studying a community of which you are not a part, or even one that you are a part of, that you shouldn't be centering your research solely in the damage that that community has experienced, and you should be ensuring that you're portraying the full complexity of their humanity and their experiences as a community. That means acknowledging and paying attention to resilience, to efforts of resistance, to their family structures, to the ways that they maintain their lives in a way that they thrive, not just survive. So just make sure that you pay attention. You don't need to have any real specifics down from this reading. It's more of the idea that you should make sure to center your research not just on suffering and damage in communities, but also on the resilience and hope aspects that communities bring in response to really difficult societal oppressive structures. Your final reading is Decolonizing Methodologies, Imperialism, History, Writing, and Theory by Linda Tuhiwai Smith. She's a very important scholar in the justice field. The entire reading is really important. This is because a lot of you will be having to include some brief history of the community or the research project that you're going to be engaging in this semester. And she provides really important insight on how to do that without participating in a process of colonization, meaning participating in a process of stripping away humanity, stripping away agency from the communities that were colonized. So this reading is really important. Specifically, you should start focusing on page 28 of if you print it out and you have the actual pages with you. And it's page 11 on the PDF version, and it's a section starting writing history and theory. And this is where she gives, and then the next section as well is history important for Indigenous peoples. And this is where she gives specific categories of how you can write history in a decolonizing way. And she gives 9 steps to do that, and then some other key ideas. And that's where you should really spend most of your time and attention on in this reading. As far as housekeeping goes this week, your group discussion board is due by March 23rd, and that's going to be a research proposal post. Your research proposal needs to be at least 2 to 3 paragraphs, and I want you to talk about what you're interested in, why you're interested in it, and what your plan is to finish that research in our short, very, very, very short semester. In the past, I've allowed students to do interviews. I am not going to allow that unless you actually provide a very specific plan for how you're going to get that done this week, really. You will have to do the interview this week, and you're going to have to email me specifically to ask permission. And then your reply post, again, will be looking over one of your classmates' research proposal posts and providing them feedback on maybe some areas that you think would be interesting to look further into. That would also be where you need to point out if you think your classmate is being too broad. An example would be is, I'm interested in the United States going to war. That's obviously far too broad. Or if you think that your classmate is being too specific, though I've never had that happen. And it's really an opportunity for you to see what other people are thinking about, what other people are passionate about, and to really hone in on that and to get to know them through what strikes interest in their minds and in their hearts. So again, I'm always available via email. I have that 24-hour turnaround policy. I'll have your grades for last week posted by tonight, and the quiz will be up by Wednesday. So I hope that you all have a great week and that you're enjoying, if you are in Arizona, our new hot weather. Bye.